So you're going to take your day and you're going to write down all these things that you did. You're going to put a little box like you're adding them to a little checklist. If you were to look at your actions, what would be the title of your checklist? And do you like it? No, I don't like this at all. Oh my gosh, this checklist, if I were to name it, it would say obsessed with work and ignoring my family. This is why you feel crappy inside. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Life Coach Meg Ellis. Today we are talking about proving yourself. Where is that popping up in your life? Where are you trying to prove yourself? So we're actually going to be breaking this whole thing down, and I'm going to invite you to go on this little, we'll call it like a wordsmith science experiment with me. So if you are open to debunking this idea of proving yourself, and if you want to learn how to prove yourself and have it be the easiest thing that you will ever do, come along with me on this little science experiment. And if you are watching this, I am going to be reading a lot of the data today because I have a lot of facts for y'all. And I think it's more important that I get the information to you correctly versus looking at the camera. So pardon my reading, but so let's talk about proving yourself. Where is proving yourself showing up in your life? And I think a very common one is work, right? I feel like I have to prove myself to my boss. We can feel that way in relationships, right? I got to prove myself that I'm worthy of this love or this romantic relationship. I have to prove this to other people that I'm worthy. We can even see this pop up in our hobbies, right? Whether you play a musical instrument or you dance, or if you play pickleball, I know that this shows up because some of those people are brutal out there, proving that they have to be the best. So think about just an area in your life where you feel like this need to prove yourself. Maybe it's even to another person, like a family member, like your mom or your kids even. I just have to prove myself valid and worthy. So let's talk about what is proving yourself first. Let's just break it down. I want to be on the same page. I want to be very clear about what proving yourself actually is and what it looks like. So start to think about, where is this popping up in my life? So proving yourself, it's a verb. It means to show one's ability or courage, demonstrate, establish, prove, show, establish the validity of something as by an example, explanation, or experiment. And this experiment is called life. So come along with me on my little experiment to debunk why proving yourself is the absolute worst thing that you can do for yourself, or the way you're doing it. And I'm going to actually twist this around and show you how proving yourself can actually be the easiest thing you will ever do in your entire life. And it will be the most rewarding thing. And guess what? It doesn't involve anybody else. This is going to be good. Here's the thing. And I do this too. I know a lot of people do. A lot of people I coach do this. So I thought, hey, this would be a great podcast episode because you might be one of those people who really has to prove yourself to other people. And guess what? It is literally killing you slowly. It is causing you so much stress, so much anxiety, so much negative emotion because we're all doing this the wrong way. We are conducting this experiment the wrong way because we are going outward for the data. External validation, right? That's what proving yourself is. It says establish the validity of something. Is this valid? Am I valid? And rather than going internal, where all the good stuff is, we go external. We compare ourselves to others. We determine our worth with how hard we work, with how much overworking we're doing, grind culture, hustle culture. It's not pretty. With how pretty we are, with how many likes we get on social media, how many people pay attention to us, how many swipes we get on the apps, all that stuff. It's external. And we've been doing this whole experiment wrong. And I want you to actually imagine us in like a science lab, and we're wearing, the goggles and the little white jacket, and we're holding like a beaker, right? And we're saying, hey, is this valid? Is this valid? And what we're doing is we're giving our beaker away to other people and we're asking them to measure for us. And when that happens, we feel crappy. It doesn't feel good when we shift this measure of validity in other people's hands. And it's extremely stressful. So just start to think about an area in your life that's really stressful and doesn't feel good a lot of the times. Well, that is probably one of the areas where you are seeking external validation. Trust me, I do this all the time too. And I was reading a blog the other day, and this guy, Aaron Buren, wrote some wonderful words about external validation. I'm actually just going to read them to you. And this is what he has to say about external validation when we search for validity through somebody else, whether it be our performance, our boss, another person, our parent, a kid, a relationship, whatever it is. It's a never-ending cycle, external validation. No matter how much you achieve, there will always be somebody who doubts you or requires more evidence of your worth. Instead of constantly trying to prove yourself, focus on being the best version of yourself and letting your actions speak for themselves. And we're going to get all into that, learning how to conduct this experiment, but take your beaker back and measure it yourself internally. Because external validation drains your energy. Trying to prove yourself to others can be emotionally and mentally draining. And if you are somebody who does this, you know what I'm talking about. It takes a lot of energy to constantly seek validation, and it can take away from the energy that you have to be put into things that truly matter to you. And I see this all the time in SoulCycle, right? We literally have a public app that shows, hey, how many people have booked bikes in my class versus the class after me? Wow, there's only 10 people in my class, but there's 50 people in the next class. And if I were to measure my validity based off of those numbers, man, I would feel really crappy about myself, right? There's too much at risk here when we leave it externally, and that's why we feel crappy all the time. So we're just going to bring this back internal, because when you search for it externally, it takes away from your authenticity. And Aaron continues to say, it's easy to lose sight of who you are and what you truly want. This is why you don't feel good, because you are disconnected from who you truly are. It's important to stay true to yourself and not get caught up in the need to impress others. It undermines your own self-worth. It's implying that your own opinion of yourself is not enough. It's important to recognize your own self-worth and know that you are deserving of respect and love regardless of what others may think. And if you are doing this in a work setting, can that lead to burnout? Because constantly trying to prove yourself to others can lead to this never-ending cycle of overworking and striving for perfection, not leaving work at work. It's not fair to other people. And this was an interesting thought. I had never thought of this before, so thank you, Aaron. It's not fair to others to search for external validation. You might be putting unnecessary pressure on those around you. It's important to remember that everyone is on their own journey, and it's not fair to compare yourself with others or expect them to constantly validate your worth. Are you asking somebody else to do something for you that you're not doing for yourself? I'm not validating my own worth. Therefore, I'm putting lots of pressure on you to do it. And when you don't measure up to my expectation of how much you should externally validate me, not only does that affect my relationship with myself, but now it's actually affecting my relationship with you. And you have no idea that this is going on. That's not fair to you. So we're going to take responsibility here, and we're going to make one simple change. And we're going to bring it internal, because I promise you that's where all the good stuff is. So I'm a wordsmith. I love words. We're going to break down all of these words, okay? So proving yourself. What is the definition of that? Proving yourself, let's go back to this. Show one's ability or courage. Demonstrate. Establish the validity of something by example, explanation, or experiment. So what I'm going to depict from this is establish the validity of something. So proving yourself is establishing the validity. Okay. Well, what's validity? If you've never thought about this before and you do it all the time, this is going to be imperative for you to listen to. Validity refers to how accurately a method measures what it is intended to measure. Okay, the word that sticks out to me there is intended to measure. Well, what is being intended to measure? So let's talk about the intention. What is intention? Your goal, purpose, aim, these are your intentions. Something that you mean to do, whether you pull it off or not, it's something you mean to do. So the thing that stood out to me there was purpose. It's basically your purpose. So what does purpose mean? Let's dig deep in this wormhole here. Come with me on my science experiment. What is purpose? Your life purpose consists of the central motivating aims of your life. Purpose can guide your life's decisions, influence behavior, shape your goals, and offer a sense of direction, create meaning. So before we go out of the wormhole back to external validation, because we got to break down proving yourself to validity, to intention, to purpose, let's start with purpose. Are you staying true to your purpose? Well, I don't know. I haven't defined my purpose. Let's start there, because you are leaving your purpose. It's subject to somebody else defining it for you if you don't do that first. So do not climb out of this little rabbit hole we're in until you have clearly defined your purpose. So how can I even remotely expect to be considered valid, a couple levels up in this wormhole here, if I haven't even established what is being measured? Because validity refers to how accurately a method measures what is intended to measure. And remember, your intention is essentially your purpose, but I don't have a purpose. And here's the thing is, if I don't define one, I'm leaving it up to other people. So let's just take a look at your actions. We're hopping up out of this wormhole and talk about your actions. Okay, work. I have to prove myself to my boss. Okay, well, what are you proving? That you can handle the job? That you're willing to sell your soul to the company for what, a title? And if you haven't clearly defined it, everything gets wonky. What are you actually end up proving to your boss? Well, look at your actions. That I don't want to ask for help, or I can't ask for help. That I'm a perfectionist. That I don't care about my work-life balance, right? Just look at your actions here, okay? And I love this exercise. If you were to, let's just take the work example, look at my day, my whole day, and I take it step by step, and I write down my actions of what I did that day, okay? Because we're all obsessed with checklists, right? I love checking things off my list. Okay, so you're going to take your day, and you're going to write down all these things that you did. You're going to put a little box like you're adding them to a little checklist, okay? All these things that you did that day. Okay, look at the actions. If you were to look at your actions, what would be the title of your checklist? I think we have identified what can happen if I don't have my purpose. Because your purpose is going to be the name of your checklist. And if you don't have that clearly defined, you're just leaving it out there for anybody to define. Well, okay, if I were to look at everything I did this day, my checklist would be being obsessed with being the best at work. Ooh, yikes. Okay? So we're going to stick with just the work example, but you can put that into anything, whether it be hobbies, sports, a romantic relationship, right? All these things that I did after I met this person on this dating app. Did I stay true to myself, or did I just do everything that they wanted to do? Did I worry about my appearance? What is the name of your checklist? And do you like it? No, I don't like this at all. Oh my gosh, this checklist, if I were to name it, it would say obsessed with work and ignoring my family. Oh, I don't like that. This is why you feel crappy inside. If I shift it externally, that's leaving the name of the checklist up to anybody. I don't have purpose behind it. Instead of trying to prove yourself to others, how about you prove yourself to yourself? You have to take it internal. You are going to be the one who's going to establish that it's valid. Think of, the word validity. What are you even measuring? What am I measuring here? What is the intention here? What is the purpose here? Because here I am, I don't even know what I'm measuring. I'm so outside of myself. No wonder why things feel awful. Hey, I'm getting all this stuff done, but it still feels crappy. Hey, I'm getting all these dates, but I don't feel good about myself. Ugh. You have to take it internal, and we just have to align your purpose to the intention, to the validity, to what you're even trying to prove, right? That is the science experiment. We have to gather the right data. We have to measure it ourselves. So you go internal. Where do I want this data to come from? Internal, external? Well, if I'm staying true to myself, I think internal might feel better. So prove yourself to yourself, because one thing I'll say is, instead of trying to prove yourself, how about you just aim to improve yourself? Because one thing I've noticed as a coach is everybody I coach, everybody just wants to be their authentic self. And everybody wants that version to be accepted. But it has to start internal. We have to start with the authenticity. We can't start with the opposite, the acceptance, and then the authenticity. It has to be authenticity first. We can't go external to internal. That's not going to feel good. You have to go internal, authenticity first, then to the acceptance. Because here's the thing. You are probably asking somebody else to accept you when you haven't even accepted you. Because you haven't checked the data. Do you even want to accept the data that you're putting out there? Because the data is coming from external sources here. Ugh, right? That's what, remember our blog friend Aaron said? It takes away from your authenticity when you seek external validation. And guess what? There is nothing better than being your authentic self. Do not start with the acceptance first, then work backwards into being authentic. It's not going to work that way. It's going to be messy. It's going to be wonky. It's not going to feel good. You're probably going to lose some relationships. You have to start with authenticity first, because guess what? On this scale of vibrational energy, you have really good feelings and you have really bad feelings, right? You have like this scale of, just take a scale of 1 to 10, right? You have love and fear, right? Those high vibe, good emotions that make you feel good, right? We're up there with like love, peace, acceptance. Those are 10s. And then you have those negative feelings that are like, oh, they make me feel like a 1 out of 10. Guilt, fear, shame, judgment. Ugh. Where does authenticity lie? And if you were to guess on a scale of 1 to 10, 1, fear, 10, love, where would you put authenticity? On a feel-good feeling, right? How would I rank that, 1 to 10? And if I had to guess, you'd probably say like maybe like an 8 or a 9. But it's actually 11, because if love is one of the strongest, most high vibe, most palpable feelings, emotions out there, guess what? Authenticity is more palpable than love. They have done studies on this. You can always tell when someone's being authentic. Authenticity is so palpable because it is so powerful. There's nothing more powerful than staying true to your authentic self. So rather than starting with proving yourself and working backwards, let's start with your purpose. What is the name of your checklist? Overworking and ignoring my family, that doesn't feel good. And I'm doing that because I'm trying to seek all this external validation. Hey, boss, tell me I'm the best because I need you to accept me because I have not accepted myself. So let's go back. What do you want your checklist to be named? If you had to name it, what would you want it to be? You can name it anything, but let's just generalize it here and say the name of my checklist is to stay true to my authentic self, whatever that means to you. It's going to look different for everybody. It might be, hey, I'm going to leave an uncomfortable date if someone is making me feel uncomfortable. I know this is not the person for me. I'm not just going to sit here begging for this person to think I'm worthy of love when I don't even really like the person. Right? That's staying true to my authentic self. Maybe it's, hey, I turn the computer off at 5 p.m. and I pay attention to my kids. Right? Whatever it is, but staying true to your authentic self. How would your life change? Here's a question, because we're scientists today and science loves questions. How would your life change if you renamed your checklist, stay true to my authentic self? Okay. Authentic. What does that mean? Let's dive a little deeper into this. And I love this. Authenticity. Authentic. Not false or copied. Genuine. Real. Of undisputed origin. That's a good one. I love that. Undisputed origin. Guess what? It's mine. It's mine. Not yours. Not anybody else out here. Nothing external. Undisputed origin. That's mine. So then we're going to climb out of this little rabbit hole and go into purpose. That central motivating aims of your life. If I am coming off of my authentic self, where am I aiming to go today? Where am I aiming to go this week, this month, in this role, in life? Where am I aiming? Start there, because otherwise, like I said, you're going to be aimless, and that doesn't feel good. You're going to be subject to where somebody else wants to aim you. Then we're going to climb out into that intention, right? Where is this intention? What's the purpose? Okay, here's my purpose. I'm going to stay true to my authentic self. And what does that mean? Well, it means I do this, this, this. Okay, these are the aims in my life. I'm aiming this way to align with my purpose, with my authentic self. And then, if this is my goal here, then and only then can I check the validity. And validity is how accurately a method measures what it is intended to measure. Okay? How accurate was my essentially purpose and the intention of my purpose? Well, I said I was going to stay true to my authentic self. My authentic self says, hey, I know I do a really good job at work. I know that about myself. Collect the data. Prove it to yourself. Get the data out. We're scientists. Get the data. Prove it to yourself, but prove it to yourself, not to anybody else first. We're going to establish the validity of something. We sure are. And that's called internal validation. And here's the thing about proving yourself, because let's talk about proving yourself. This is kind of wrapping up this whole science experiment here. Proving yourself means to establish the validity of something. And if you're starting with internal, and if your purpose is to stay authentic to yourself, and then you stay valid because you measure up to what your intention was, staying true to my authentic self, this is the name of my checklist, then guess what? That's all you're doing is proving yourself. It's the easiest thing you'll ever do. Establish the validity of something. Because I'm accurately measuring up to what my intention was. And my intention was being my authentic self. So therefore, if your purpose is to stay true to your authentic self, then proving yourself will be the easiest thing you will ever do in your entire life. And guess what? This whole experiment, it's foolproof. It's foolproof. It is going to work every single time. And this pressure is just going to fall off of your shoulders. You're going to be happier. You're going to have less stress, less anxiety. You're going to feel good about your choices because you feel good about the name of your checklist. But it is only foolproof if you believe in your data. If you are authentically yourself, you have to believe in it. And for you to believe in it, you have to define it. You have to figure out, hey, where am I aiming in life? What is my purpose? What is my intention of this? And how closely can I stay to that intention? That's validity. That's all proving yourself is, establishing the validity of something. So you have to validate yourself. And guess what? You are in charge of this. Is it valid? You are in charge of that. So all you got to do is just prove it to yourself. Start there before you go off and try and get anybody else to believe in your science experiment. You got to prove it to yourself. Collect the data that is going to support your argument and make you feel good. What is important to you? How can I stay true to this? How can I be intentional about this? And how can I stay true to that intention? That's all proving yourself is. Staying true to who you are. And it starts with you thinking about you, nobody else. So we're going to shift from external to internal, and proving yourself is going to be the easiest thing you're ever going to do. That's what I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, make sure you subscribe, like it, post about it, share it with a friend. I love when you all do that. I post content like this all the time. And if you have not checked out my online life coaching community, there's tons more exclusive content. There's podcasts, there's coaching materials, there's live coaching calls, there's meditations, there's all kinds of stuff. So the link for your special offer for that, check it out. Everything's online, is in the show notes. That's all I got for you today. Of course, I'm going to leave you with one thing. It is this: expect good things always, and they will happen.